All right, so last time we left off, we were looking at our squares facts. And so hopefully these are spread throughout your house so that you can remember them. Because we're going to use them today. If you don't quite remember them, you might want to pause the video and go grab this piece of paper from somewhere in your house. All right. So this is the almost square strategy. So these are squares. These are your square facts, right? Because if you were to draw them as an array or an area model, they make squares. It's an 8 by 8. Like this is an 8 by 8. There's a 4 by 4 square. There's a 5 by 5 square. So they're square facts. So this strategy is called the almost square strategy. Yay. Okay, so the almost square strategy is when you almost have a square. So go ahead and count the arrays. Count this array to see what math fact this array is representing. So you can pause the video and to count that. Okay, so what you should have seen is that this is 7 times 6. So the question is, how can I use my squares fact to figure out what 7 times 6 is? Like, what squares fact is close to 7 times 6? Okay, and so what you're trying to do is you're trying to picture, like, how can I create this array into a square? Well, I could get rid of a column, and now this is a 6 by 6. So you can think of this as, how can I use 6 times 6 to figure out what 7 times 6 is, right? Well, you could say it's 6 times 6 plus this one that I kind of hid so that we can make it a square, right? So it's 6 times 6 plus 6, which will give us 42. So that's one square that you might see here. What's another square that you might see here? So 7 times 6 is almost 6 times 6. And 7 times 6 is almost 7 times 7. So there's another squares fact that you can use. So how can I use 7 times 7 to figure out what 7 times 6 is? Well, you can see that this is 7 times 7, but then I put this extra row in, right? So I have to subtract that piece out. So it's going to be 7 times 7 minus 7 to give us 42. Okay, see how 7 times 6 is almost a square? So you're going to use your squares fact when it's almost a square. Okay, so let's practice this again. Okay, so go ahead and figure out what array this math fact, or what math fact this array is representing. And you can pause your video to count. All right, so it's 9 times 8, right? We could say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 9 times 8. So now 9 times 8 is almost a square, right? This is almost a squares fact. You could think of it two ways. This is almost a squares fact, or this picture is almost a square. So how can I make this picture look like a square? Because then I could use my squares fact. Okay. Well, if I get rid of a column, it will be 8 times 8, right? So let's check. I got rid of the correct thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sometimes you're going to get rid of rows. Sometimes you're going to get rid of columns to make it look like a square. You're not always going to get rid of a column. I don't know why I drew it like this each time. Okay, so if I could think of this as an 8 by 8 square with some left over, then we could use our 8 times 8 fact to figure out what 9 times 8 is, right? So this is going to be 8 times 8 plus 8 more, right? So 9 times 8 could be 8 times 8 plus 8, which is 72. Okay. Again, this is not the only square that we can create, right? Instead of getting rid of a row, we could actually put in this imaginary row. And so now this is a 9 by 9 square. Okay, you just have to remember that you put in this extra 9 down here so that we could take it away later. So now this is a 9 by 9 square. So we could use our square facts, 9 times 9. And then we just have to remember to get rid of these 9 pink circles down here. So 9 times 8 could be 9 times 9 minus 9, right? Which 9 times 9 is 81 from our square facts. And then we'll subtract out 9, which is 72. Okay, so now it's your turn. So go ahead and print out this page, and I want you to explain to a family member how you use your square facts to figure out what 8 times 7 is. You may have already memorized what 8 times 7 is, but I want you to explain to a family member without using your memorization, okay, of what 8 times 7 is. All right. Thanks for listening.